we have your weekend Apple news. Welcome back to the channel. So you know what we do on the weekends? We go through the Apple news, right? I go through about 20 or 25 different Apple-related news stories. We throw in a couple tech sales in there as well. I usually have a drink on the weekends. Today I have a vodka tonic and the best vodka I think of all time, Belvedere. Tell me if I'm wrong. Anyways, it's the weekend. Let's have some fun with this. Let's go through the Apple news, and then I'm going to get back into my review videos and stuff next week, including maybe coming up a 5Q BenQ monitor. Sit back and relax. Let's get into the news. Cheers, everyone. Okay, story number one. If you have not been under a rock lately, you know that the M4 Mac Mini has these like little SSDs that you can replace. A lot of companies are making these now. You have to open up the Mac Mini and replace them. But the caveat was they're not available. You can't do it with the M4 Pro Mac Mini. So it wasn't available for that until now, or until almost now. It's getting close. So here we go. If you want to check out this video, this is a video from IBOFFRCC. It's a company, they're probably in China. But they did this nice video just a couple days ago, and they show that they're redesigning the chips in here. And Apple has certain chips and stuff, and I'm just going to play this while we're talking about it. But Apple has some different chips in here, and they didn't want to get patents against them or strikes against them and have any issues with importing them. So they kind of redesigned the whole chip. And you can see it in here. It's got like a little handle you can pull in and out. It's faster than the Mac Mini's little hard drive. So a lot of things are going for it right here. But by doing this, they had to redesign the whole thing, and now they're starting to understand the process behind it. So now they're ready, and they're also close to doing the M4 Pro Mac Mini SSD as well. So long story short, that's not it right there. I'm just showing you some other things, but we're going to go over here to this. Let me actually pause this. So that's kind of what it is. So the article goes in to say over here, Apple Insider, SSD upgrades for the M4 Pro Mac Mini are inching closer. This is kind of what I read here. So it says, following multiple vendors offering SSDs for the M4 Mac Mini, one is now revealed that is prototyped for the M4 Pro version right there. So externally, the M4 Mac Mini and the M4 Pro Mac Mini are identical, but internally they're quite different SSDs. And that was the problem behind it. So this company, again, iBoF, I don't know how you say it, but it goes on to say, actually, you can see it right down here, but it has basically detailed in some length now how it designed its SSD from scratch. See that? While matching Apple's physical profile, the company insists that it has improved Apple's design. We don't know if that's true, obviously a small company improving it, but what they did do is they understand it, and now that's going to make it available to actually buy these chips. Now, I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but this is their website over here. It's called iBoF right over here. You can see it. It's got featured products in here, but you can go in here and buy discs right now, and they have them from different manufacturers and a whole bunch of different things. I mean, these red ones are very, very, well, they keep getting sold out. 2 terabytes for only $170 right here. Again, this is for the M4, but the M4 Pro will be coming soon. This is a kind of a long-winded way of saying that, right? But overall, check out this company. I guess they're making some really good ones, and they're always sold out. Look at this. I mean, I was reading an article where they're sold out like all the time across the board. So who knows? They got to be doing something right. Okay, so for this next one, Apple's launched a ton of good products this year already. They have about 15 more that people think are going to be coming out before the end of the year, so they'll be at 15 left. And what are those 15? Here's 9 to 5 Mac. It says Apple's launching 15, maybe plus new products later this year. Here's what's coming. So we're going to scroll down here really quickly. The first one in here is the iPhone 17 family. We know this. ProMotion for the first time, better selfie camera. This is the iPhone 17. It's going to have that. We're going to have the 17 Air, which is going to be radically thin, and we know that. The 17 Pro and the 17 Max. Now, I think it's going to be the 18, the iPhone 18 that's going to get the 2 nanometer process. I think this is going to still have the same 3 nanometer chips, but overall it should be a performance boost and some differences in the cameras. You can see a picture there. If that's what it looks like, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if they're going to do that in this next iteration or the one after it, but it looks like it's coming on this one, this crazy picture. Then we're going to get these the M5 Max and iPads. So new Mac Pro here, and this is claiming an M3 Ultra like the recent Mac Studio. I don't know if that's going to fly because I don't think anyone's going to buy that. You guys post in the comments. Why would they do that, right? This got to either be maybe the M4 Pro. I'm sorry, the M4 Max, M5 Max. I'm sorry, M5 Max chip. That's what I'm thinking. It's going to be the M5 Max, but who knows? Then we go down here, the M5 MacBook Pros. We're going to get those here, and I'll talk about those later in this episode. We got the M5 iPad Pros. This is rumored at the end of the year or maybe somewhere, coming maybe next year at the beginning of 2026. That's what they're thinking. Then we kind of keep going down here. Big wearables. We get the AirPods Pro 3, Apple Watch Ultra 3, Apple Watch Series 11, and then the Apple Watch SE 3, which is going to be an interesting one because that's going to be the cheap one, but it's going to have some more features built into it, which I'm kind of curious to see myself. Then finally down here, we got a couple other things. We got the Apple Home products. We got the HomePad, which is going to be the small home command center running Home OS. That's going to be really interesting because it's going to be more of a new one. You can see a picture of it up here. We got the new Apple TV 4K. That's actually going to be cool with Apple Intelligence capable, most likely it says, and a new chip. And we got the HomePod Mini 2. This is going to be a new Wi-Fi modem. So all this kind of stuff looks cool. And then we got the AirTags 2 and the Studio Display 2 right here. And that's actually going to be, it says, the same 27-inch with mini LEDs instead of, obviously the other technology, just LED. So that should be a pretty good change there. They're saying what other ones could launch, possibly a new Vision Pro. I don't think so. Pro Display XDR, that's a possibility as well. But besides that, those are the lineup coming for the rest of this year. So sit back and relax. It should be good. All right, now we got a couple just product or tech sales going on right now. Obviously, it's the big spring sale still going. There's a couple of these kind of intertwined in here. Let's take a look over here. Still think this is a good deal. This is the M4 chip right here, and you get the upgraded hard drive. It's going to have a 512 gigabyte SSD, and what do we get? 16 gigs of RAM for $10.99 right there. So it's not the best deal in the world, but we're still getting that $100 off of this thing that just came out. That's the lowest price in 30 days, so it hasn't gotten any lower than that. So that's still out there. I think this next one's pretty good. This is going to be the Apple Watch Series 10 here. It's the smaller one, but it's down to $299. So we have a 25% off on the Series 10. So you can't complain with that, right? The newest watch, it's 25% off. When do you get 25% off from Apple? So if you want that watch, it's probably time to pick it up. I think even around Christmas and stuff, they're not going to go down much lower than that. So we got a next one over here. This is going to be from Woot. This is kind of owned by Amazon. And let's just say you want the Pro chip, but you don't have the money to buy an M4 Pro Mac Mini maybe, but because that's around $1,200 or so. You want to spend about half that. Here on Woot, now granted, these are reconditioned, but they're still going to be Mac Mini, so they're going to be just fine. Here's the 2023. This is the Apple M2 Pro, not the M2, but the Pro chip. You can see it right there, $699. It's about half off of what it normally was, 16 gigs and a 512 gigabyte SSD. So you're getting that upgraded SSD, I guess. If you were going to just buy a straight M4, you're going to get more storage there, same amount of RAM, and the chip is going to be very close because it's the Pro versus the standard M4 somewhere in there. I think that's a good deal overall. And then what else do we have here? I guess this is the last sale. We'll come back to sales later in the video. We have a bunch more later. But here's the Jackery Explorer 100 Plus. The reason I like this one is it's down to $169, and this is from the big spring sale. It's usually $229, now $169. The reason I like this thing is it's not like the most crazy thing in the world. It's only about 100 watt hours, but it does have the Life PO4 batteries, which is nice. 40 watt mini. So basically the reason I like this is it comes with what you see right in there. It comes with the actual solar panel there. So you get the free solar panel in here. You can see it back there. And that for $169. I think this comes out to about 31,000 milliamp battery. So you can kind of equate that, maybe if that helps you kind of figure out how big this is. On the front of it, it's got a bunch of USB ports and stuff like that. So it's more for like charging phones and laptops and stuff like that. Not so much, there's no plugs on this one. But still, you get the solar panel plus the Jackery, which is one of the best names, $169. Not a bad deal. Okay, so it's heating up in Chicago, definitely. And it should be a good weekend. We're going to get some storms, though. I know all around the world, though, there's different temperatures. I get people from all over, Australia, you name it. It's kind of crazy how small the world is. All right, here we go. This next one's actually an interesting article to me. I actually have it sitting right here. I bought the brand new right there. You probably just heard that. Me hit the cord there, so sorry about that. But long story short, I just bought the new iPad, the 11th gen, right? It's got the A16 chip and all that stuff. Well, here's exactly why Apple didn't give this Apple Intelligence. And now I started thinking about it, and it's actually the real reason. So 9to5Mac, it says Apple's base iPad didn't get AI, and this chart explains why, right? You can see this article here from 9to5Mac. So let's just go down to the chart here. This is the most interesting part of this thing right here. If you look at this chart, first of all, one thing to note that is like basically the iPad right here, this is 2024, and the iPad Pro over here, they both make up 38% of sales of iPads. So that's pretty crazy. The mini is really small here, 9%, and then the Air is only 15%. So the iPad over here and this one, the iPad Pro, they're the big hitters, right? These little ones are in the middle. But look what's happened over the last couple years here. In 2021, the iPad was 15% of people buying it. In 2022, it was 22%. In 2023, it was 30%. 2024, it was 38%. It keeps going up. And Apple had to put the brakes on it, right? Because this is their low margin. They don't make a lot of money on these. They make a lot more money on these over here. So Apple's like, we got to do something to stop this. Otherwise, we made it too good. Everyone's going to buy it. And the crazy thing is, this doesn't even include the newest one. This only includes the one from 2024. So that would have gone way up, and it probably still will. But they had to slow it down by not giving it the AI. That's the reason for it. It's not so much because Apple wanted to use the chips like I was thinking they had extra chips. It's because they think about it and they're like, we can't get, we can give everyone what we want, but too many people are buying this, and we got to kind of like shuffle it up so people don't buy it anymore. This is the reason. Okay, so if you're an iPad lover, and a lot of people like the iPad mini, it's kind of like the Mac mini. It's kind of a cult following. But, I mean, I'm just kind of, I'm looking into this data here. I think it could be in trouble. I'm going to tell you why. This is my thought on it. But then again, it's going to take a number of years for it to be in trouble, but it might be sooner or later. And we'll show you here. Right here, 9 to 5 Mac, it says iPhone Fold sounds like it's doing exactly the right thing with its display. So long story short, they're making this iPhone Fold coming up, right? It's going to be a new phone that's coming up. It's going to be really expensive, and I'll get into that in a second. Long story short, they talk about it's going to have these liquid metal hinges or liquid glass or something. It's crazy. It's going to be really high tech, right? But the thing is when we kind of go down here and we kind of read a little bit about this, it says right here, what it's going to do is it's going to be a slim, modern, powerful iPhone, and it's going to have a screen on the outside. Then you can open it up to a certain size, but also an iPad mini when unfolded. So what they're thinking basically is that when it's unfolded, it's going to boast about a 7.8-inch display. So it's going to open up, and it's going to be just like over here, but it's going to be basically right at the size of the iPad mini, especially the old one. The old one from a couple of years ago, I think, was 7.8 inches. The new one's, I think, 8.1, but it's going to be right in that wheelhouse. So this is maybe the product that's going to replace that, because we just saw the sales, right? And it was only at like 8% of sales. It was a very, very small percentage, and Apple does not want to make extra products. They don't make any money there. So here's maybe your next iPad mini, and they're going to get rid of that. That's what I'm thinking. The reason they're probably not going to is because there was an article in here where I just saw it. I can't find it now, but it said it was going to be between $22,000 and like $3,000 for this phone when it launches. And the iPad mini is like what, $400 to $700. So until those things get in alignment, I don't know if they're going to pull it. But once the technology gets good enough, you never know. They could actually pull the mini, slot that in there, and then they can get rid of that whole lineup, and they don't have to make it, because they're really going to probably get down to, my guess is 3 iPads eventually. That's what they want to do. This next one is actually funny to me, actually interesting too, because I do video editing. And let me just explain it here. Apple Insider, it says Severance editor was all in on Apple hardware, but not Final Cut Pro. So Apple has focused the spotlight they've been focusing the spotlight on how Severance, the show's film editor, primarily uses his iMac in conjunction with just about every shipping Mac there is to get his work done. So he goes on, I read the article, he goes on down here to say that he basically works on his iMac, but he uses it to remote into his Mac Mini, believe it or not. And we're talking he's doing some editing here as well on his Mac Mini. He also uses an iPhone, his MacBook Pro when he's in hotels. He goes on to say the whole thing. Now, actually, so Apple has been doing this, they've been promoting this, saying like the whole thing of Severance is done with this, Macs and Mac Pros and everything else. And it's kind of good, good press for them. But then he comes down here, he says right here, as it emits, he uses Avid instead of Final Cut Pro. So he's not using Final Cut Pro, he's using this AVID. It's a video editor that's actually, I looked it up, it's a kind of the industry standard with film production and stuff like that. It's AVID. Now, I went on to read the whole article, and it was kind of, interesting to me to understand this, because it looks like what happened basically, and this is, it says prior to, let me just see here, around 2011, Hollywood used Final Cut Pro pretty much universally, right? But basically, it was replaced by Final Cut Pro X. There was a whole bunch of problems at the time, and while they got sorted out eventually, over time, a lot of the professionals switched over to Avid at that time. So as you can see down here, it says it would ultimately make Final Cut Pro a better app, but at the same time, it was such a huge change, and there were initially so many missing features that the video editors switched to Avid, I don't know how to say it, and Adobe's Premiere Pro, actually, one of those two, but it kind of moved away from, Final Cut Pro because of that new version. So this is kind of the moral of the story, is like, this is, I think, what Apple learned a couple times. We talked about this before. While Apple doesn't make huge changes anymore to any of their stuff, including like the OS and stuff, although one might be coming, because of these kind of features. When you make a major change like this, you can lose a lot of customers. When you make small iterative changes, so a lot of times people complain about them and they kick and scream and everything else, but you don't lose as many and you gain slowly. So I think this is the approach they're taking moving forward, and that was kind of a lesson for them. It's just funny that it came out, he's using all the Apple stuff, but the best editor supposedly kind of modified for it, they're not using. Okay, we got a quick sale in here. I just thought this was interesting. This is part of the big spring deals and stuff. Right here, if you're looking for an OLED screen, this is on sale right now. Samsung 27-inch Odyssey. It's a QD OLED right here, G6, I guess. 240 hertz though, pretty cool. It's down to $549 right now. It's a 27-inch, like I said, usually $799. 31% off. I would pick this up soon if you're going to get it, maybe by, the end of the night, Saturday, tonight. So you guys do your own, do whatever you need to do. It could go away at any time, though. I just want to warn you that it's out there. It's a pretty good deal for that. All right, let's keep moving here. Got to get through this whole video. It's the weekend. I want to get out and enjoy the sun. Here we go, Mac rumors. Apple Card savings account interest rate lowered again. So if you have this, let's just go down to the chart down here. So Apple's interest rate was pretty high, obviously, when interest rates were high. Now that interest rates are slowly coming down, so are all the rates that you're getting on your savings account. There's always a catch, right? Here it is right now. The current one is 3.75% in the savings account. That's not too bad, right? But look over here. I mean, Barclays is 3.9. Betterment 4.0. What is this? All the way down to Open Bank by Santander. This is, I think, out of Spain. 4.4%. And there's actually all the way up to 4.6, which is Pi Bank. I'm not sure who they are. I believe these are all FDI insured. You can definitely do your own research on that. But still, so it's pretty safe to put your money in. But imagine that 4.6 is great. But even 4.4, still in this day and age, that's good return on your money, right? But Apple's slowly dwindling down to 3.75, and I'm just reporting the news. This next one's actually another article that's kind of funny to me. Now, the Apple Vision Pro, everyone asks me, is it a failure or is it successful? And this kind of puts it in perspective for me. And this is why I think it's actually a failure. Look over here. This ResMed Kontor head strap for Apple Vision Pro review. Bring balance in spatial computing. So you can see this huge head strap. Now, we obviously know how heavy this thing is on your face. So this company designed this huge head strap in here. It's got these countering weights. I read all about it. It's got these weights you can put on it to kind of make sure that the weights go backwards instead of forward. You got this huge contraption. Look at the back of it. I mean, it's crazy. There's weight, like you can see the weights all around it and stuff like this. And then even below this, let me just go down to the bottom. I think somewhere in here it tells you what the price is of this thing. All the way down here, it's $120 for a head strap, all right? So let's just erase all of that. That's the first biggest problem right there. We shouldn't even be having these conversations. If you're going to have a headset that you're going to use constantly every day for work and stuff, it needs to be comfortable. We don't, people aren't going to be needing, they don't want to be looking for a $120 strap. I mean, when you can pick up like a Meta Quest for, 1/3 that cost. I mean, it's not that much more basically. Two and a half times that cost. You can get the whole thing versus having the strap only for $120. It makes no sense, right? So while Apple's done a good job at it, this thing has to come way down. Things have to get way lighter, way smaller before it's ever going to be used like Apple intended. And I think it's going to be many years away. I mean, look what's happening with the Apple Intelligence. I still think they probably have 5 years before it's perfected. So unfortunately, we're going to see a lot better ones from other companies first. I think Apple will get it right, but it's going to take a long time. Okay, so maybe you're looking for an M-series chip Mac, right? But you have almost no money to spend, and you're thinking about buying maybe an old Intel one. This is actually better. Right here from Woot. Again, it's factory refurbished, 2023. This is just the M2 chip, not the M2 Pro, but the M2. It's the base, 8 gigs, 256, but it's down to $369. It is reconditioned, obviously, but obviously with Mac Minis, you can't really tell. They look like they're in really good condition. But overall, I think this is a good system. Again, $369 for this thing, and it's, for an M2 chip. How could you go wrong there? So I think if you're looking for a good cost on something, definitely check that out. I have no problems with buying Mac Minis refurbished because you don't have screen issues and stuff. They seem to work really well. I've done a few of them myself. Okay, we talked about the iPad mini, and a lot of people love the small iPhones as well. This is just a really quick note here saying that this article goes on to say Apple's probably not making another one. It says, sorry, iPhone mini fans, Apple isn't planning another small phone right here. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman today shared the bad news for fans of the iPhone mini. So you can kind of see a picture of it in here. It goes on to say, obviously, there was the 4.7 inch. It went up a little bit higher. But, he thinks that the 6.1 is going to be the smallest one that they're ever going to go with, in the near, foreseeable future, at least the next number of years. So he obviously can't predict a way out. So, I mean, that goes to show you that it's interesting to me that, I think a lot of girls would like the small phone. I just don't get it that much, but no one was buying it, I guess. And that kind of, again, Apple's going to get rid of it. That's why the iPad mini's in a little bit of trouble at that 8%. Okay, we got another sale here, actually. Now, if you're actually more of a power user, you do a lot of video editing, I think this is a fair deal here. This is on Amazon. It's the M4 Max MAX chip right here, 32-core GPU, really nice, 14.2 inch, 36 gigs of RAM. That's plenty there, 1 terabyte, so increased terabyte. What is it? 2,849 bucks. I can't speak anymore. 11% off though. You can see it's usually around 3,200 bucks. Again, when you get up to this kind of cost, 11% is actually a lot of money, a couple $100 there. And I think this is a great, system for most, editors like myself and stuff that actually make money off of it. This would be a good deal, I think. So you guys post in the comments. Have you seen a better deal than this anywhere? This is even part of the spring savings deal. It doesn't have a little icon here, but overall, I think it's still a good deal, right? And you post in the comments if you found better ones. Okay, this next one's just kind of a quick update. We were just talking about Final Cut. They're trying to make it a little bit better. Here it is from 9 to 5 Mac. Final Cut apps updated with Apple Intelligence and more new features. So Final Cut basically on the iPad and basically the Mac right there. We're just going to talk about the Mac though. Here's some of the new features in it on the Mac here. Add color corrections and effects to an adjustment clip above the timeline to apply them to a range of clips at once. This actually says get inspired with the image playground. So they're moving in, this is their Apple Intelligence into it. And it says, based on a description, concepts, or people in your photos library, you can create little images and stuff like that. Now, granted, they're still kind of like little kids' images. I don't know if that's going to be as good as Adobe's right there, obviously. Speed up your magnetic mask workflows with important bug fixes. Use the Quantic QRS, whatever this is, to create natural and transparent audio reverbs that simulate real acoustic spaces. Stay organized by renaming audio effects in the inspector. Reveal the source of a multicam angle. Move markers in the timeline by dragging them into a clip, or remove markers by dragging them out of a clip. That actually is maybe a little bit more useful there. These little things are. So there you go. Just a quick update on it. Not too bad. Okay, for this next one, this article was talking about the iPhone 16e versus the iPhone 15 Pro, and which one should you buy, right? Now, it depends on cost, of course, but like obviously a lot of people, I think, should be buying the 15 Pro no matter what. And we'll show you why here. So if you go in here, it's got like this little chart here, and you can see that obviously the iPhone 16 beats it in the chip here. It's got a little faster chip, and it's got faster clock speed. This has got more GPU cores. It's also got a little bit less memory bandwidth. So already the iPhone 15 Pro seems like it's down. But look at the display. The display is going to be a lot better on it. You can see the nits here, a lot brighter display. And it's got the dynamic island. This one's only got the notch. But as you kind of go down, the whole cameras and stuff like in here are just going to be massive differences in here. You can't really, I'm not going to go through all of them, but even down here, shoot and instantly transfer. You can shoot in RAW, ProRAW. All this kind of stuff down here makes a big difference. Transfer speeds as well, getting stuff off the phone, 480 megabytes per second on the 16e versus 10 gigabits, 20 times faster. All that stuff matters. And the iPhone 15 is just made for professionals. It's going to take better pictures, better movies, and about the same speed. I mean, it's going to be a little bit slower, but it's going to have more GPUs. So the reason I even wanted to bring this up is just to show you, can you really get it for around the same cost? Well, here on Amazon right now, look at the Apple iPhone 15 Pro. Granted, this is refurbished, but it's renewed, I guess you'd call it. But still, that's $546 right now, which is actually a pretty good cost. You'd have to obviously check the condition of it to make sure it's renewed correctly. This is from AT&T, but you can get other ones in there as well from different companies for about that cost. So you can see that it's actually very comparable. Even if it was $599, we're talking the same cost there. And here's actually the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So if you go up to the Pro Max, this is all the way up to $832. Still a good price, though, if you think about it. This is the big spring sale, actually. This is now renewed premium. See that? And when I tell people many times, if you watch my videos, renewed premium basically means that it's going to come in a new formatted box and everything. It's not going to be the exact Apple box, but it's going to look brand new. It's going to have no blemishes, nothing. And a lot of times it's actually coming from Apple refurbished. So that's not a bad cost for that as well. So overall, we got to weigh this cost here, right? It was interesting for me to think about that. I mean, I'm probably going to go... I was thinking about the 16e, and I might just wait for the next one. Or pick up a 15 Pro, like they said, because it's just a lot better value. Okay, so I just talked about the iPhone 17, the next phone coming out. Obviously, you might want to pick that up, but this is going to make it more difficult because when the 18 comes out, there's a big change to the 18. Apple Insider says all iPhone 18 models rumored to get speed boost from 2nm chips. So it says when Apple releases the iPhone 18 lineup, the models will move to using a 2nm chip. So obviously we see that here. The current iPhone 16 uses a 3nm chip, and then the new one's coming out, the iPhone 17, is also going to use the 3nm chip. At least that's what they're thinking, called the A19 there. So I don't know if this is a big difference to you. I think, though, there's going to be a pretty big jump in performance when we go to the 18 versus the 16 to the 17. So just keep it in the back of your head when you're thinking about it, because sometimes this stuff matters. Okay, so with the new iPadOS 18.4, I don't know if it's come out yet or it's coming out very, very soon. We're getting 4 different new features. What are they? If you kind of scroll down here, it's actually funny. The first one we're getting is a cooking mode. It says iPads are perhaps the most versatile device. It uses laptops, sketchbooks, everything else. So it says it's basically an Apple News app getting a brand new food section. It's basically going to have a whole bunch of different like food recipes, style articles, all this other stuff, recipe. So basically, it's getting a new food section, and I don't know why they keep saying that. Is that only for the iPad? It's kind of weird that they would put it in there. They are, though. Number 2 is Sketch in the Image Playground. It's kind of crazy, but it's just going to be a new way you can actually, if you use Image Playground, there's going to be a little sketch bubble here, and it's going to, create sketches for you instead of the images like that are created the other formats, like animation and illustration. It'll just be a sketch, like as if you sketched it. I mean, that's a really small change too. The bigger changes are going to be the Apple Mail redesign. So it says iOS and iPadOS share much of the same core code, basically. It's going to be getting this Apple's Mail app has now gotten upgraded to the app. So it's actually done it already, bringing new features like automatic box categorization, digest, view, and consolidate threads, sorting of new and older messages, contact photo displayed in your inbox. So we get all these different things in here. So that's all new coming. And then finally, you get this new thing called ambient music. I guess it's showing right here. You can see it in here. So Control Center is gaining a new category of controls on the iPad and iPhone, ambient music. So I guess when each one is tied to a specific music playlist in Apple, so you can pick this and it'll play different playlists based off of the mood that you want. Although it's only got a couple in here: sleep, chill, productivity, and well-being. So there's only 4 of them. I don't know, what that means or how that's going to be. How do they pick these things? Who knows? I guess who pays them? Maybe. Who knows? Anyways, it's coming soon. Okay, we got another sale here. This has been on sale, then it's gone off sale, then it's back on sale. Just showing it here again. The Apple AirPods Pro 2 right here. Obviously the new ones are coming out hopefully this year later. $169 right now, down from $249, so a full 32% off. It's one of the highest percentages you're going to get off on an Apple product, hands down. So I recommend picking them up if you want them. You never know how long they're going to be out there. Who knows? When the new ones come out, these may go away. And then this is just kind of, if you need this, this is from Mac Rumors. Apple's now selling a USB-C to 3.5 audio cable. So from Apple directly, you can see it in here. It's got the audio, plug-in, and then it's got USB-C. So you can use this on devices where you need this kind of connection. Obviously, you can always buy third-party ones like this if you want this. But it's nice because if you have headphones or something that needs to connect this way, you can do it, or vice versa. So I wanted to let people know that this is actually coming out. It's bi-directional, it says down here. But it is going to be $39 right now. And so it's not going to be cheap. Again, it's going to be an pure Apple braided cable here from Apple. So it's never cheap, right? But at least it's available finally. Okay, so for the Apple Watch Ultra 3 coming out later this year, we think, what are some of the rumored new features coming on it? Well, there's only a couple that we know so far right here. This is going to be for Mac Rumors. 2025 Apple Watch Ultra to support 5G, which is actually pretty good, and satellite texting right here. So we know satellite texting is where we went to the newer iPhones where you can actually use, if you're stuck somewhere out in the middle of the mountains, you can text someone via satellite in an emergency and stuff like that. It's coming to the watch now, which is actually really nice on the Ultra 3 watch. That's going to be a huge upgrade because if you look in here, a lot of this times this is used for hiking and stuff like that, where you might run out of battery over, what could happen? Maybe you lose your phone or something, you need help. Now you can actually do it through the watch, and I think it's just an added bonus, and we'll see how it comes out. But I think it's going to be around the same cost, and I think it's going to be probably in the next 3 to 6 months, I'm guessing. Somewhere in that range in there is when we're going to see it. Okay, this next one's another good deal from Woot, maybe really Amazon, right? But if you want to pick this up just to fool around with, now's the time because they're getting so cheap. Here it is right here. Now, this is the M1 base level iMac, right? The 24-inch. You can see down here it's 8 gigs of RAM, 256. I kind of wouldn't recommend 8 gigs anymore. I have one sitting right here. It'll bog down if you have a lot of tabs open, but it still works fairly well. But look at this, $599 now. It is refurbished though. It's going to have the great 23.5-inch 4480 by 2520 IPS panel. Beautiful panel. You get that, you get the iMac, you get the software, everything included for $599. I think that's a pretty good deal overall. You guys tell me what you think. Okay, this next one is just something that's coming up. A lot of people don't even know this exists, so I wanted to share it with you. Mac Rumors says WhatsApp can now be your default call and messaging app on the iPhone. So it says WhatsApp can now be selected as the default calling and messaging app on the iPhone. That's the title I just read. If users wish, if they actually wish to do it. So you have to go to iOS settings, then apps, then default apps. Inside of here, you can go ahead and change messaging. You can go ahead and change it to be, obviously, WhatsApp instead of the actual iPhone or the Apple one. So that's actually pretty cool, right? Either way, it's on there. I just wanted to report it. Okay, so we got a final sale here. Again, I don't know if this is the best thing ever, but it is Apple related because they own this company. Right here is great big spring sale again. $99 right now. We got the Beats Studio Buds. A lot of people love these. They swear by them. $99 right now, down from $150. So you get a good 33% off there. overall, I think that's a really good price for what it is. And again, Apple owns that company, so you read through it, it works flawlessly with all the Apple products. You're never going to have a problem. And but I mean, I just don't know why you wouldn't pick up the AirPods, but I guess they're a little bit more for some of the same features. You get more features with this. So, all right, we're going to wrap it up. That's the news for the weekend. It's kind of a slow week. I mean, I had to kind of dig around and stuff like that. But cheers. It's tough when you have to dig for stories like this because there wasn't a ton of news from Apple, and I hope you guys like these. So one day I'm going to make this into more of a live show, have some guests on here, but it's just I got to get the show built up. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses. Definitely subscribe if you can. Put this show out there, maybe post it on other links and stuff to get me some more viewers, and then we're going to kind of ramp it up. We'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.